Hello and welcome everyone to this joint webinar with also and Microsoft. My name is Thomas and I'm here as the Nordic Master Trainer for Microsoft. And today we want to provide you guys with an overview of the security features, especially focusing on Windows 11. A few things before we get started. If you have any questions, just use the chat. I will probably have some time in the end if there's any questions to answer those questions as well. So just use the chat for when you have any things that pop in that you might want to know more about, or if you want to ask. But perfect, let's get started. First off, a quick run through of a bit of the agenda. So first off, I just want to touch a little bit upon Windows 11 generally. We are going to be talking about security, the secure for all part, and how to kind of get started with Windows 11, and finishing off with some few things that might have interest for you as well. So first off, Windows 11 is what we see as marking a new era in computing for Windows, and it's especially made for hybrid work. We've especially had this focus on both hybrid workers, but also hybrid workplaces, so that we could bring the best of Microsoft expressed through Windows to empower every user or even every IT team to deliver a new promise of hybrid work. So it's kind of built to be powerful for employees, consistent for IT, and secure for all. So pushing those kind of boundaries of what we thought was possible with an operating system within Windows 10, we want to make sure that we touched on everything that was core to the commercial experience, bringing our hard-learned lessons, our best innovations, and the integration that you would expect from across Microsoft. So we believe that we've created the most empowering operating system for this hybrid world, because that's what we think that you deserve, your customers deserve, and we all deserve. So before we jump into it, a key thing to be aware of is that even though this is a significant shift in bringing value to workers who are finding new ways to work these days, Windows 11 runs on the same core OS as we have on Windows 10. That means that IT admins have this they have this knowledge already of Windows 11 since it's running on the same way that we did with Windows 10. So it's a seamless support, and for updates, it's the servicing model that we started with Windows 10 lives on, and it continues to be the plan that they plan, prepare, and deploy Windows devices, and that definitely hasn't changed. With Windows 10, one of the key things this year is that it is an operating system, as I said, for the hybrid workplace. We are kind of reimagining Windows to deliver a new flexible, intuitive, and intelligent experience that works how you work. And in light of what's been going on the last couple of years, kind of stepped back and thought deeply about how people are working and learning in new ways. The user experience is actually more important than ever, not only for productivity, learning, and security, but also for employee satisfaction, retention, and attracting new talent. And with Windows 10 or 11, excuse me, we are delivering a more streamlined, more human, more powerful personal computing experience without compromising in the performance, the security, and manageability that Windows is known for. As we reflect back on the last period of time and why Windows 11 came about, is that we definitely see a lot has changed in the way we live and work. It's a new hybrid world, and from what we see, it's here to stay. We did a survey in 2021 where we found that 73% of people, they want a more flexible, they want flexible work options. And at the same time, there was a lot of people that still said that they wanted more in-person collaboration with their colleagues. And to top that off, 80% of the managers that we talked to and interviewed with in that research actually told us that they expect that more flexible work options are here to play, even now in a period where we're removing restrictions more or less across the board here in our region. So this is what we see as a kind of hybrid work paradox, where we think that things aren't about to get or things are about to get more complex, not less, because every one of us is tackling this paradox at a personal level. And it's an adjustment that we'll have to make as we started returning into the offices again. And it will affect us both on a personal but also on an organizational level. So these are the challenges that we face in a hybrid work today. And unlike other challenges that we faced in the past, this is not about implementing standalone solutions. This is about adapting and overcoming and bring the best solutions and innovations to meet the hybrid workplace paradox head on. So let's talk about some of the securities that we have within Windows 11 and kind of the idea behind how Windows 11 helps companies stay even more secure. So now more than ever, employees, they need a simple, intuitive user experience to collaborate and stay productive wherever they might do their work from. But this expansion of access and ability to work from anywhere has introduced new threats and new risks. I want anyone watching to just take a few seconds just to think about the threats that we are meeting now, that people might be running into every day as a company or working as themselves. So thank you for just spending a bit of time just reflecting upon it, because one of the things that I just want to highlight is from January to March in 2020 just alone, it's not, unfortunately, I don't have the latest numbers from 2021 yet, but the number of blocked suspicious messages targeting remote workers rose by 30,000%. Yes, 30,000%. So that is quite heavy. And the number of COVID-19 related spear phishing attacks also increased by a massive 667%. So just to give you an idea, there's definitely a lot more out there with links being sent out with information to people that might check their personal email or work email from home instead of behind the security of company Wi-Fi or anything else like that. And when we ask those security decision makers what they are most worried about or what they think are the biggest, I don't want to say pitfall, but I'll do it anyways, not to mention it. The key things that can stand out as risk for them. One of them is actually theft, being able to, that risk of having all the devices at home, bringing it from place to place. They also mentioned that not having or non-modern hardware is also an issue here. And that one of the key things that they said was that they experienced that they had experienced at least one firmware attack within the last 2 years. And that was 87%, as you can see on screen right now. So how do we work with both theft and also that software is not enough and protect you from firmware? Well, there's three things. One thing that I definitely think makes a big difference here, and it's our zero trust that we've built into our new security model. So there's a lot of text here, but in short, there's two things that I would say to just understand how zero trust works, and it's just trust no one and verify everything. So it's important to of course verify everything that might be coming in, things that's being shared, links, documents, etc. Also making sure that we set up access accordingly, and of course assume that there's a breach within our trust no one principle behind it. So the pandemic numbers, or the pandemic, kind of introduced a number of challenges to our to organizations. And Windows is a secure platform on which so many people actually use Microsoft 365, Microsoft Teams, or any line of business applications that they need to get as much work done as possible. And what we believe with Windows 11 is that it's adept to helping employees achieve what they need to do in smart ways without compromising security. So for IT administrators that needs to deploy and support employees, they'll find many of the same technologies that they have been using on Windows 10 continue to work on Windows 11. So we've made it easier to work with, but at the same time more secure, because we all know how important security and protection is today. Just looking at the numbers that we said before, 30,000% increase in and up to 666% higher spear phishing attempts. So it is becoming increasingly important all the time. And Windows 11, as I said, is kind of designed for a hybrid workplace. So just again, empowering employees, it's familiar for IT, it's secure for all. And here's some of the things that we definitely think that it means for Windows security. So security has never been more important, said that again. So let's look at some of the core capabilities that you get within Windows 11. So as I said, nearly 90% of decision makers on security were surveyed that outdated hardware kind of leaves organization more open to attacks, and that modern hardware would protect them against future threats. So building on that innovations of Windows 10, we've worked with our manufacturers, silicon partners, to provide additional hardware security features. So that could be Intel, AMD, or Qualcomm for ARM processors as well. And we've kind of built those additional hardware security capabilities to meet that evolving threat landscape and enable more hybrid work and learning. So there's a new set of hardware security requirements that comes with Windows 10 or Windows 11 that is designed to build a foundation that is even stronger and more resilient to towards attacks. Sorry, jumped ahead just a bit. That was not purpose. Let's get back here. Sorry about that one. So with this one, we are delivering a more secure Windows by including a baseline Windows security, which is the recommended baseline for all individual system, where we provide a fundamental system integrity protection, which is, amongst other things, the TPM 2.0 chip for a hardware root of trust, secure boot, and BitLocker drive encryption. We are using virtualization-based securities as well. That's automatically enabled to provide additional protection for the critical subsystems and data. And we have secure core that's recommended for the most sensitive systems and industries like financial, healthcare, or government agency, which builds on the previous layers and leverages advanced processor capabilities to provide protection from firmware attacks. So with Windows 11, we're kind of re-emphasizing the secure core because secure core provides that protection and supports zero trust security with secure start and secure configurations as well. And even protects additionally from physical attacks with system guard and kernel protection as well on by default. So with this one, we are turning, as I said, security on by default on Windows 11 devices after clean installation or on a new PC with compatible hardware. So we're talking 8+ gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of SSD boot disk, and 11th gen Intel or AMD Zen 2 architecture or Qualcomm Snapdragon 8180 processors or newer. This will be on by default. This will not always be the case with upgrading from Windows 10, so just be aware of that one. With hardware, so just a bit of an overview that we've added to Windows 11. So with hardware based isolation, security that begins at the chip, Windows 11 stores sensitive data behind additional security barriers, and it's separated from the operating system. As a result of that, information that includes encryption key, user credentials are protected from unauthorized access and tampering. So that then goes in and protects and maintains system integrity as the firmware loads, preventing unauthorized firmware or software from starting before the Windows bootloader that launches the operating system. This, as I said, requires GPM 2.0 chip to strengthen security features like Windows S.L.U and BitLocker. And virtualization-based security uses the CPU's hardware virtualization to create a secure region of memory isolated from the host OS for code integrity and information protection on top of that. With Windows 11, hardware and software works together to protect the OS. With virtualization-based security and secure boot built in, enabled by default on the new CPUs. Even if any bad actors get in, they won't get far because the virtualization uses hardware virtualization features to create and isolate a secure region of memory from the operating system. And this isolated environment hosts multiple security solutions, greatly increasing protections from vulnerabilities in the operating system and preventing the use of malicious exploits as well. In combination with device health attestation with cloud services, Windows 11 is zero trust ready right off the bat. So one thing, and it's pretty straightforward, but if I could go back to the beginning when we talked about what security decision makers sees as one of their key things that they are afraid of, it's actually about threat. Because when people are using their PC and they're traveling with it, well, you are at greater risk all of a sudden. So BitLocker is of course a part of Windows 11 as it was on Windows 10. So it's protecting, it's a data protection that's of course integrated into the OS, and that kind of mitigates the threats that is posed by theft or exposure from lost or stolen, or even PCs that are decommissioned incorrectly. So having that encrypted hard drive, which uses this rapid encryption provided by BitLocker, so that enhances security and management. Encryption is always on, and the authentication is performed by the drive before it unlocks, and that's actually done not with the operating system. And of course, you can encrypt outgoing emails as well and attachments so that only the intended recipients with a certificate can read them. So with Windows 11, we kind of raised the bar for networking security as well by bringing in a wide array of improvements, helping people work, learn, and play from almost anywhere with confidence. Sorry, let me just get a little bit of water again. So we have new DSN and DSL protocols versions that strengthen that end-to-end protection that is needed for applications, web services, and zero trust networking. File access adds an untrusted network scenario with SMB, as well as new encryptions and signing capabilities as well. And Wi-Fi and Bluetooth advancements provides greater trusting connection to other devices. We have VPN and Windows Defender firewall platforms that brings new ways to configure and debug quite quickly, ensuring that IT admins or third-party software are even more effective. Sorry. So the TSL, of course, that helps protect that end-to-end protection that is needed for, as I said, applications. We have DSN, which is an encrypted DSN protocol that allows administrators to ensure devices protect their name queries from on-path attackers as well. You can set up Bluetooth protection by managing Bluetooth policies through Intune. You can block file transfer, force encryption standards, limit Windows discoverability, and even force the Bluetooth off altogether if you want to. You also have a secured Wi-Fi connection because we have enhanced Wi-Fi security by enabling an additional elements of the WPA3 security as well for authentication when you're using it. And our Windows Defender firewall, which is host-based, two-way network traffic filtering, which blocks any unauthorized traffic and safeguards sensitive data and intellectual properties as well. And of course, with VPN, you have the option of setting up a virtual private network. So that is, of course, integrated into Windows 10. And it's even in the quick pane in your Action Center on the right. So you can go in there and add it and turn it on with a simple click. Sorry for my coughing. My voice is a bit worked out by the weather this day or this period of the year. So of course we have our trusted boot, which prevents unauthorized code from running in the firmware, while virtualization-based security protects against kernel-level malware attacks. Again, as the PC begins the boot process, it ultimately readies the OS for use, which verifies that the firmware is digitally signed through the trusted boot process. So tampering or malware attacks on the Windows boot sequence are blocked by a signature enforcement handshake between the UEFI, the bootlocker, and the kernel and the application environment. So for drivers that's not produced by Microsoft, the signature enforcement handshakes require a Windows signature or a certification by a Windows hardware compatible program. So on a trusted boot, where that takes over from where secure boot leaves off. So as I mentioned, tampering and malware attacks on the Windows boot sequence is blocked by the signature enforcement handshake between the UEFI, the bootloader, the kernel, and the application driver. On top of that, we have added cryptography stacks in Windows that extends from the chip to the cloud to enable Windows applications and services to protect the system and user secrets. With certificates, that's safeguards and authenticates information with validated certificates, Windows 11 offers several APIs to operate and manage those certificates as well. We have code signing and integrity as well to ensure the integrity of the firmware, the drivers, the software that's running across the Windows platform. And of course, with it all works with Microsoft Azure Attestation Services to ensure that devices can safely connect to a network, which helps support zero trust principles. And all, let's say, all new Windows 11 devices will support hypervisor protected code integrity as well, and trusted boot is enabled by default. So most new devices will come with these already turned on. To keep personal data and business information protected and private, we have multiple layers of application security to safeguard just that. We have application isolation, we have and controls, we have code integrity, privacy controls, and least privilege principles enable developers to build in security and privacy from the ground up. This integrated security protects against breaches and malware. It helps keep data private and gives IT admins the control that they need. So Windows Defender helps isolate enterprise-defined untrusted websites in a virtual container to control what apps and drivers run on a managed Windows device. Windows Defender application guard then uses virtual-based security to isolate untrusted websites and Microsoft Office files in a container as well. User account control actually helps prevent malware from gaining administrative privileges to make unwanted changes to the PC. And universal Windows platform apps, they also run in an isolated container with limited access to resources that they don't require, including like the file system and registry. So in Windows 11, we have both virtualization-based technology to isolate untrusted websites, Microsoft Office files and containers separated from and unable to access the host operating system, and enterprise data. To protect privacy, Windows 11 also provides more control over which apps and features can collect and use data as a device location or access resources like camera or microphone. So one thing again is looking at this one, because passwords, well, they're kind of inconvenient to use, and they are one of the primary targets for cyber criminals. And they've been important for parts of digital security for multiple years now. That kind of changes with a passwordless protection available with Windows 11. So after a secure authentication process, credentials are protected behind layers of hardware and software security, giving users a secure and passwordless access to their apps and cloud services. So individual users can start to, or they can remove the passwords from their Microsoft account and just use your Microsoft Authenticator, Windows Hello, or any other, or a FIDO2 security key, a smart card. It could be or verification code that's sent to their phone or email. So IT admins and consumers can actually set up Windows 11 devices out of the box passwordless. So taking advantages with technologies such as Windows Hello, these fast identity online standards. With those, Windows 11 protects the credentials with chip-level hardware security, including TPM2 combined with both that virtualization-based security and Microsoft Credential Guard as well. So as I said, with Windows Hello, you have that option of both using fingerprint, you can use PIN code, you can use facial recognition as well. You have, so those are the things that you can use with Windows Hello, but of course, setting up your two-factor authentication makes a big difference as well. So more about this one with the cloud, Windows 11 kind of extends that zero trust all the way to the cloud by enabling policies, controls, procedures, and technologies that work together to protect your device, data, applications, and identity from anywhere. So it offers a comprehensive cloud services for identity, for storage, and access manageability in addition to the tools that to attest that Microsoft devices connect to your network trustworthy. You can also enforce compliance and conditional access with a modern device management device such as Intune that works with Azure Active Directory to control access and applications to data through the cloud. Of course, this is not something that is to have Azure Active Directory, of course, you need a subscription that supports just that. So not out of the box, but it's available on every Windows 11 device. With Microsoft Endpoint Manager, so it could be Intune, this works with Microsoft Azure Attestation to review device health comprehensively and connect this information with the Azure directory for conditional access. And as you can see, it's a pretty straight. So for example, if you go on a solution like Autopilot, everything is set up really quickly through the cloud to make sure that the security standards are in place right off the bat. So how to get started today? Actually, well, built on the principles of zero trust, every component of Windows, the Windows 11 technology stack from chip to the cloud is purposely designed to ensure ultimate security. So Windows 11 meets that modern threats of today's hybrid work. And as you can see, the new things that's been added is that security is on by default. There's even more layers of remote deployment and compliance to add to the existing layers of security that we have with BitLocker to go for external drives, Windows Hello for simple, easy login, multi-factor authentication again to make sure that you're adding even more layers to it. So having all these, we believe that with Windows 11, customers get the ultimate productivity and intuitive new experiences without actually compromising on security. And then it's a bit of a hot topic. Still, it's been ever since we launched Windows 11. But Windows 11 is kind of designed and built as a complete set of experiences, which is unlocking the full power of the PC for your customers, our customers, and everything else that people have come to rely on, including in areas like security, reliability, compatibility, video conferencing, multitasking, playing, creating, building, learning, and way, way more. So we kind of need a minimum system requirement that enables us to adapt software and hardware to keep pace with people's expectations, needs, and harness that true value and power of the PC. So to be able to do that now and in the future, we kind of, and this is the requirements that is needed to upgrade your existing device to a Windows 11 moving forward. Of course, one of the things that we have with when we're talking about security is, of course, we're kind of raising that bar. I've just kind of gone through with Windows Hello, device encryption, virtualization-based security, and even more code integrity behind it and secure boot. So this combination, the combination of these features has shown to actually reduce malware by 60% on tested devices. Of course, not real world, but at least it's a good indication of the difference that it actually can make. So reliability, of course, is key because devices that is upgraded will be supported and in a reliable state. By choosing these CPUs, we will have adopted the new Windows driver model, and that is supported by, well, all our OEMs, our silicon partners, who are achieving almost 100% crash-free experience. And of course, Windows 11, as I said, was built on our Windows 10 core. So that's meant to be, it's designed to be compatible with the apps that people already use. And it has that fundamentals that we're looking at when we are, looking at with the specs to make sure that our minimum requirements for Office and Microsoft Teams is met as well. So using that principle above, we're quite confident that devices that would be running in Intel 8th-gen processors or AMD Zen 2, as well as Qualcomm 7 or 8 series, they will meet all those principles around security and reliable and give a reliable system requirements for Windows 11 as well. So these are like the last couple of things that we have on that one. Why the requirements are set as they are. Oh, that looks good. So if you want to know more, we have I've put in a little QR code here. If you want to do a little self-study, we have a learning platform called expertzone.microsoft.com. You can scan this one and do our course on Windows 11 Pro. And to get you prepared, because we have something coming as well with Pluton hardware security, which is a new thing that is landing with the latest updates to both Intel and AMD processors and Qualcomm. We have a few courses as well for you to pick up there. So you can just scan a QR code on your device and you'll be led directly to the site where you can sign up if there's if you want to know a bit more. Let me just check. And there's no questions as of yet. Perfect. In that case, I will say thank you everyone that joined today. And jump back to this one. If you want to know a bit more as well, QR code available. It's made for anyone that can sign up. So jump in there and do learning in your own pace. We have multiple different courses, both on Windows 11, we have on server, we have on Office, anything you might need in your everyday work life. So thank you for joining everyone and have a great day.